Hi everyone, today I'm going to show you how we're going to make this cute Amigurumi Book Lover bookmark. So let's get started. The great thing about this pattern is that you don't need too much yarn to make it, and you can actually rely just on yarn scraps. The color that you will need the most is the white, because we make the strip that connects the little heart and the Amigurumi book from it, and also the white is also used to make some of the pages of the book. But apart from that, you can use whichever colors you like. For this pattern, I'm using Scheepjes Catona yarn, but any other color and any other fingering weight yarn would also do. For the bookmark that I will be making today, I'm going to choose red color yarn for the book cover, and I have selected my 2.5mm hook to use for this pattern. The first thing I'll do is I'll make a slip knot, and then I will chain 12. And then I will put a single crochet, and I'm using US terminology, in the second chain from hook. So this one here. And I will continue along this chain by placing a single crochet stitch in each of these chains. And at the end of my piece, I should have 11 single crochets. And once I've made my last single crochet, I will chain 1 and turn. And you will continue by making rows of single crochets, 11 single crochets in each row, followed by a chain 1 to turn your piece and start the next one. And you'll do that for a total of 17 rows. So I will go ahead and continue building my book cover here. And I will meet you once I've completed the 17th row. I have now done my 17 rows, and I have put a single crochet in the 11th stitch here. And what I want to do now is I want to do another row of single crochets that goes all around my piece. So I will place a second single crochet in that last stitch, like so. And then I will place a single crochet starting on the side of my piece, like so. And it's effectively, after I've done that first one here, I'm putting one sideways single crochet per row. And the main thing here is just to make sure, depending on your attention, that you are just putting the same number of stitches around your piece. And so here I will start doing the other side. And what I'll try and do is I will try and weave in at the same time this piece of yarn from my original chain. And once you've reached the end of this second longer side, we will simply slip stitch into the first stitch of that 17th row. So a bit like here, like so. Take a pair of scissors, snip off your yarn, and then with a darning needle, take this to the back. And at this point you can decide which side you think looks best, so that it can act as the front of your cover. I actually think this side would look better, so I will take my yarn to the back and weave it in a few times to secure it. The inside won't be visible, so you don't need to be too tidy about it. So just a few times to make sure that it doesn't go all over the place would be good. And then the next thing you should do is pick up your white yarn to make the pages of the book. And you'll make the pages in the same way as you started off this piece. So you will chain 12, and then you will put a single crochet in the second chain from hook and single crochet along your piece. So you should have again 11 single crochets on each row. And you will make 2 such pieces, one that you finish when you reach the 17th row, very much like this red piece, but you will not continue to make the surrounding stitches, and another one which you will snip off and finish at the 15th row. So this way you have 2 pieces that will fit quite nicely in your little amigurumi book. Once you've done that, you can rejoin me and we will start putting together our book, and especially the face of our little amigurumi bookmark. To go ahead and continue putting together our amigurumi, we will need 2 safety eyes, and I will leave a link to the ones that I'm using in the description down below, along with all the other materials. And then we will need to make the little cheeks of our amigurumi with some light pink yarn. And to do this, you only need very little of this light pink yarn. Make sure you do give yourselves a bit of a tail starting off and also finishing, because we will use this tail to help sew in place the little cheeks. And to do that, you just literally chain 3 like so, and then you slip stitch into that first chain. And then what you do is you snip off the yarn, pull it through your hook, and then just to make sure that it has a nice rounded shape, take your darning needle and take those little pieces of yarn and just put them through the other side of this sort of joined up chain 3, just so they're coming out a bit in the middle and can help enhance this sort of circular shape that we're trying to make for the cheeks. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect, because you can play around with this once you know where you want to place it on your amigurumi, but just to give it the general shape. So there we go. We've got 2 cheeks and our safety eyes. So now you will take the book cover, making sure that the good side is facing your work surface, and the 2 pages with the longer one at the bottom, and you're just going to try and center those and try and see how the little amigurumi would look all assembled. Just make sure that the pages are nice and straight. You can play around and tug a bit if needed. And once you're happy, let's say with something like this, then you can take note of where the amigurumi ends, the front part, and try and put together where you think the eyes would look nice. So let's say that it looks like this. And would this be good? You might need to keep the distance here a bit less, because what I like to do so let's say that this is the approximate position. I like that if I found the approximate position of the eyes, I like to slightly offset the cheeks, just so that they are a bit to the outside of the eyes. I think that gives the amigurumi a really cute shape. So if I'm more or less happy with the cheeks being here, because I can't have them too close to the edge either, then I can just play around a bit with how the eyes would look. And this is okay. I might need to bring one little eye further in. So I'll continue playing around a bit with this to find the right position for how I want the amigurumi to look like. And then once I found the right position, I'll come back and show you how we put this little guy together, and then how we do the little strip and the hearts. So I've already gone ahead and found where I want the left cheek to be. And now I will just go ahead and put the other one in as well. So as you can see, I've only sewn it using the ends on the back side. And once I've double checked that I'm happy with how it looks, I will just make a few knots and snip off the ends, and that will have it quite secure. So using my darning needle, I will just move across and trying to make sure that they're aligned. I'll go ahead and put my darning needle through, and then the shorter end, whichever, doesn't really matter, of our cheek, just to give myself an idea of where it would be. And that seems quite nice. So what I'll try and now do with the longer edge, and that's why it's good to give yourself some space, is to really secure its position. And this will be a bit fiddly. But you should be able to make it work. And it only needs to go, you only need to thread it a couple of times to secure it. It's a very small item, and it shouldn't really need too much to make it work. And you can take as much time as you want to make this look nice. Here I'm going a bit faster than I would normally go, just to show you how it can come together. But this is more or less what you're looking for. And you've got the little ends here in the back. They're quite secure, but again, we'll secure them even more once we're happy with the placement of the eyes. And now I will just go ahead and go a bit further up, maybe a couple of stitches, maybe just one, and just slightly in towards the middle rather than the outside. And I think that looks pretty good. And for the mouth, you want to decide where you want this to go through. I quite like it to be underneath the cheeks. Make sure you have enough yarn here in the back so it doesn't fall apart. This, and go straight ahead and put your yarn in, and then find the middle of that straight line and go slightly underneath it, maybe a row or so down, and pull it down, and again go through with your yarn in that same, almost the same space, just to give this little smile a nice shape. And you can pull it here a bit with your fingers just to make it look a bit more circular, but it also looks quite nice when it's a triangle. And when you're happy with the placement of all of these guys, then I would just make a couple of knots here in the back to secure everything. and then really just trim the excess yarn. So here we are. And now what I'll do is, again, I'll place the book pages here and here, and then I'll cover this just to see how our little book is looking. It's looking pretty cute. So now all you have to do is make sure that the safety eyes go through the pages, the crochet pages. There we go. Still looking good in the front. So then you will just secure it. So just secure the little eyes. And if things are just a bit not totally straight, the good thing is that the crochet just gives you a bit of an opportunity to pull things a bit around. So not everything has to be absolutely perfect. You can stretch things a bit if you find that your pages are not entirely straight. But there we are, these are secured. So now we will set this aside and we will work on our little string and little hearts. And so to make the strap, you'll pick up again your white yarn, and you can adjust the length of the strap to the book you are going to be using this bookmark for, or if you're getting this for a present, you can check that it matches the length of the book you've purchased for that friend or family member. But for the purpose of this tutorial and what is included in the pattern, we will do 61 chains. So I'll go ahead, chain 61, and meet you back to start our strap. So I've got my 61 chains here, and what I'll do is I'll place my first stitch in this second loop from chain, and I will place a half double. So again, I'm using US terminology. So half double is yarn over, putting your hook through the chain, yarn over, pulling through, yarn over, pull through all loops. And I will do that across the entire chain. So at the end of this chain, I should have 60 stitches. And then I will chain one and do another row of half doubles. And if you're unfamiliar with any of these stitches, then I will link in the description box below a couple of step-by-step tutorials for all of these stitches included in this free pattern. So I'll go ahead, finish doing this first row, and then go ahead, chain one, and do another row of half doubles. And again, you should have 60 half double crochets if you're following this pattern. If you've adapted the length of your chain, then you just need to make sure that you have a consistent number of crochet stitches on those two rows. So here I finished the second row of half doubles. I'm just gonna secure my yarn, and I don't really need to weave in these ends because these sides will be covered, but if you'd like it to be extra neat, go ahead and do that. And the next thing we will do is we will make our small hearts. So to do that, you just need to do a magic circle like so. And then go ahead and chain 3. And then what you will need to do is do 4 double crochets into the magic ring. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And you can tighten the ring a bit so it's a bit easier to work with. And then you should do another 2 treble crochets. So we yarn over twice, go through the magic circle, 1, 2, 3, and do it once more, 2, and 3. And then you need to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then try and slip stitch into that main, into the magic circle, and try and do this in a way that keeps everything tight and close to each other. And then you'll chain 3, and you'll repeat those stitches in reverse order. So we'll start with 2 treble crochets, and then 4 double crochets. It's 1, 2, 3, and 4. And now just tighten the magic circle as much as you can and slip stitch into that top chain from the beginning. Let's make sure. Like this. And again, leave a bit of a tail because we will use that to weave in and sew together the heart. And I'm just going to do a chain 1 to secure it and keep it as such. And again, if you want, you can weave in this little end here from the magic circle, but it will be all secured and held together once you sew it, so you don't really need to. And then go ahead and make a second one of these. And once you have your 2 hearts ready, you can either weave in the ends of one of them, just to keep things a bit tidier if you want, or just make sure that they are secured in the back. And what you're going to do is you're going to take the edge of your strip. You're going to then make sure that the middle of the strip here aligns with the middle of the heart. And you're going to tuck in all of that extra yarn in here. And then you're going to take the other second heart, which has the slightly longer tail, and put it on top, making sure that it's all looking neat. And then you're going to secure all those pieces together by sewing along the edge of the little heart, like so, making sure that you are hiding all the ends and that you're keeping everything as neat and tidy as possible. So here it is, all sewn up, and you just need to make sure that once you're in this lower half that you sew together and also sew together the 2 hearts, but also attach the little strap. And if you're having trouble, as I did on this one because I rushed it a bit, to keep it centered, you can also pin it with a couple of pins, just to make sure the little strap doesn't move as you are sewing this together. And now what we need to do is simply sew this to the pages down here, and that can be done fairly quickly. Just make sure that you're not, that the placement of the strap will not be squished once you fold your book. And then just really go through the pages as such, as neatly as you can, but it doesn't need to be perfect because again, nobody will see that. But again, it just helps use essentially the yarn you have left over, but also gives your piece some extra security so it doesn't flop around too much. Just make sure you're keeping things as straight as possible. And if you can, go down in the other direction with as much yarn as you have. And then you can finish it up by leaving it as such. And then all we need to do really is make sure that we are able to fold our amigurumi book, and using some red yarn very carefully make small stitches all around to close the book. And I'll go ahead and show you how we can start this. So you just want to come up through here, and a good guide is to essentially go round the base of the stitches that you made around sort of around the initial rectangle. So those stitches that we put on the edges, because those are good spots also to keep you right in terms of not doing weird zigzags and so on. And it's still inside enough that it won't be visible through the white pages. So just do a little knot here. Make sure that you put your yarn on the other side. Again, close it to make sure that it's all sitting nicely and neatly. And then go around and picking up all these little pieces here in the middle. Go around and sew your piece, making sure you don't catch the little strap in between. And what I like to do is I don't like to have a huge distance between the stitches that are visible. But as I go back down the other side, I try and move the needle a bit so that I can make some progress without making too many stitches. You just want a few on each side, just to make sure that your little bookmark is solid. So I'll go ahead and do this all around the book, and I'll meet you at the end to show you how our little bookmark is looking like. So this is how our little bookmarks look. I think they're quite cute. I think they make really fun little presents alongside another book, or they're a great little evening project if you just have some little scraps of yarn and want to make something small and cute for yourself. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. As always, I will leave a link in the description box below with the full blog post and instructions for this pattern. And happy crochet!